What's going on, everyone? My name is Crunch and welcome back as we are sat here logging in and pressing start in Honkai Impact 3rd Part 2. So we have a chapter to finish today, so let's not mess around and get straight into it. It doesn't matter. This is a common sentiment that people always subconsciously feel. When people emerge from danger and find a moment to catch their breath, a certain sense of relief tends to overshadow all other emotions, even if the ultimate goal remains distant, even if failure looms ahead. Oh, control? Hello? Most will comfort themselves by saying it doesn't matter. She's already tried her best, doing everything she can to fight. And in her desolate disillusionment, only one thing still fills her with pride. Wait, there's one other thing. Judging from our current situation, isn't it natural for her to keep coming after you? If she keeps knocking at the door, I'm afraid I'm also in no position to object. All I can do is hand you over to her. Oh, no way, Shen. At this moment, the adventurers, who had just made their hurried escape, for the adventurers who just made their current hurried escape, Oxia is clearly a place where they can relax and catch their breath, at least for now. But after telling Shen everything that happened, the response they got was hardly friendly. Let's consider the situation from her perspective. I awakened from my slumber, only to find the world I created and sustained fraught with anomalies. After finding nothing amiss from my companions who created the world alongside me, the only variable that remains will be the intruders who appear quite suspicious. Nothing amiss? What about the body? I guess that makes us even more suspicious. But this misunderstanding should be easy to resolve. Isn't she a bit, too headstrong? I was looking for a friendly adjective. Judging from the example of the task, you could say stubbornness is a hallmark of the Shus. Stubborn? You mean obsessed with killing people? What's wrong with her? Or is it fair to say that if you're a Shu, you can hardly be called normal, whether you can draw power from shadows or not? Okay, there's always an exception, you know. But it's not necessarily bad, right? 100 years ago, the title Shu might have been used to refer to those who conquer the shadow in a certain fashion. But today, they appear to be a group of people confined in their own ways of thinking. If we look at this from another perspective, maybe we could turn this to our advantage. Speaking of which, wake up, duo! Is it time to eat? The dog was filed in on the previous discussion. Looking back on what everyone's been through, I think only Duo ever succeeded in leveraging a Shu's way of thinking to his own advantage. So what? You're never gonna pull it off. Me and Latust were tight as What I'm saying is you don't have what I've got. You know what? Let's get something to eat. We're gonna need some ingredients for cooking. The girl looked at Duo somewhat intentionally. I'm sure that won't be necessary. According to Song, while Lantern never wields the power of a Shu, she possesses a comparable strength, which sets her apart from even among those of their particular group. I won't have a Shu on mine. If we're talking about identity rather than power. Oh, Song, aren't you in a somewhat similar situation? Confined to their own way of thinking? Does the Shu deception mean you'll have to deceive people? What? No, I can't do that. Honesty is my greatest virtue. I mean, I'm good with my Shu stuff, but most used to say you should not strike before the time comes. It's true that a good lie can help defeat enemies and achieve your goals. Sometimes it can even reverse the tide. But once you lie, you have to keep lying to cover it up. Just like the Tost and the others. In the end, nothing you say will be true. At least that's what the master said. I shouldn't use my powers as Shu unless the situation absolutely calls for it. Well, the way you make things up is rather impressive. Well, I'm absolutely sincere. If you don't believe me, let's become sworn sisters and you'll see. However, compared to the one-sided portrayal in history books, now it seems Shus aren't quite the transcendent pioneers as depicted, but want some kind of patience. Oh, I don't mean to disparage. You're saying, regardless of the reason, this is a sacrifice they made for the people? Indeed, if it hadn't been for them, perhaps none of us would have had a peaceful, stable life. Maybe in that era, where merely feeling fear could lead to life-threatening danger, becoming a patient was the only means of resistance. The idea of gathering 7 Shus to save the world seems more like a combining various flawed abilities to achieve a supposed complete state. Lunk relies on shadows, while Oxia requires on source matter. Whether compared to either past or future eras, it feels like we're 2 worlds evolving along different paths. Faced with the world's existential challenge, Lunking presents the 7 Shus as a solution, whereas Oxia offers the Data Research Institute. In that case, we should be able to find some gentler Oxia approaches to address the challenges they've persisted, or presented even. Follow me.
親切姉さん、俺たちは理性的に言えば私は身一つで影に抗える法則があるだなんて信じられない。でも本当にそうだとしたら確か
Oh, that's my drink down the hatch. So yeah, in between this and the last recording, because as for those that don't remember, I'm doing this entire chapter as a batch record. Oh no! Sorry. I'm doing this as a batch recording. I had a Macca's, and I'm so happy I did, because I finally got my 3rd Yu-Gi-Oh toy. No way! She managed to track us down here? Perhaps like Duo, she has the power to shoot to smuggle herself. Come to think of it, Perception was really stingy last time. She could easily achieve similar tasks. That's not necessarily true. For instance, individuals like Sarah or Miss Falima may find it hard to leave their territories. Are we getting off topic by discussing this now? Shen, think we can evacuate the civilians before she finds us? I see. Judging by your reactions, this must be the lantern you were talking about. Interesting. Well, if she's willing to wait for negotiation, then let's talk everything out. Being targeted by the lantern leaves me with nowhere to escape. Fine, I'll just have to swallow a bit of pride. Lantern! Actually, there's no need for this. Look, we've never even fought back. And even when we did, it was just to defend ourselves. We don't have any ill intent. And Duo running around causing much trouble for the part is partly we 7 Shus' fault. So I plead with you not to make things difficult for them, okay? Give me a second, I'm just going to close down some windows running in the background. I'm hearing some audio issues. In fact, I'm going to close this and I'm going to close this. Oh, really? Fuck. Shen? What's going on with all this? What? Do you expect to be hospitable to guests from the Sea of Data? No, this way is better. Song, things aren't as simple as you think. The current mess, Duo couldn't have done it alone. Don't underestimate me. If I went in this vulnerable position, I wouldn't have been pushed around. I'm fully aware of his actions, but it barely made a ripple compared to the real crisis. The current turmoil in Lanka is undoubtedly caused by you all, and judging by your look, you seem oblivious to the power within yourselves. Oblivious to the power within yourselves. Her expression appeared somewhat peculiar when she said that. When recalling extremely distant memories, people often subconsciously reveal such expressions. Forget it. Let's not waste our time on an explanation. With certain research results I kept, I can extract that power from you. And I apologize if the power extraction should fail. Your lives are equally a price to be paid. That sounds harsh. Shouldn't you ask me first about that? Mind you, this is my territory and I don't want to be messed up by two groups of outsiders like you guys. Territory? Is she planning to handle it like Fulima did at Corridor? Your people crossed the line first. Come on, I can't exactly say I know them. They're merely self-proclaimed aliens, and unknown replicants from the Sea of Data. I was about to bring them into your custody per Term 22 of the Source Matter Management Regulations, and then you're here. Huh? Please spare me. I'll do anything. Seeing as you have some sort of grievance among yourself, I prefer to stay it out. Just don't mess up my turf. You can take them wherever you wish. No offense intended. But what should I call you? This really work? My name is Shen. Let's skip the formalities for the character transcaster. Miss Safara. I'll send them back to the Anchor Apocalypse. And the rest is none of my concern. Will that work for you? Agreed. No harm to the innocent. As for the name, it's been a long while since someone called me by that. Can't blame them that the fella could song found a loose tongue, can we? Since we come to an agreement, please, go ahead. Please don't struggle. You've tried it before, and it's futile. Well, this keeps Oxy from being our battleground. What of our task here? Oh no, my French body can't handle being the last one again. Actually, one more tumble is more than enough, right? Right, you guys, come closer. I'm sorry. The rules of the Anchor Apocalypse are unlikely to allow queuing. Likewise, it's the rules that are unlikely to allow too many travelers to pass you at once. Do you think this trick actually works? Guess I didn't fool you, huh? The acting was too clumsy. Actually, even if you had told the truth, I wouldn't have done anything to your territory. Huh? That's different from what they told me. I thought you would have pulled a gun on me right away. If you truly believe that, then you wouldn't have only brought a few robots to come find me. Here, I heard a familiar language and saw familiar writing. Oxia, after breaking free from the shadows, indeed continued to thrive in peace until today. That's right. Is that what refrained you from causing trouble today? Being a Shu, it's against your nature to be ruthless towards your past achievements. That's hardly the reason. I'm afraid none of the Shus, including myself, have truly cared about the parts we left behind. In the end, the Shus you may remember are those who inadvertently gained fame by deceiving the world. I never considered resolving the dispute here, and now, because I've always believed that nothing can be achieved in one attempt. Besides, unless absolutely necessary, I'd rather accommodate to the host's preference while in their territory. Gained fame by deceiving the world, I never really saw it that way. Perhaps because the Lantern organization was once too large. The records about you, among the Shus, are the clearest. Acquired power comparable to that of a Shu through multiple means, without having to subdue the 10 faces of misery. I never imagined it was possible. But now, seeing that without my professor being around, not to mention destroying the Entrance building, it would only be a matter of time for you to take over the entire Oxy if you felt like it. However, regardless of the trials you endured, it seems unlikely that your current combat style could have been developed solely through mortal means. What are you trying to say? Nothing particular. My intention, after all, was just to buy them enough time for a fair duel. I trust they knew it too. However, as a scholar, even if my next question may provoke you and endanger me, I still have to ask. Lantern, the so-called utmost limit of mortal means, is nothing more than a sham, isn't it? Just like the other Shus, albeit in different forms, your power is also drawn from the shadow, adhering to the rules of the 10 Faces of Misery. Which means you're also forced to be someone confined within their own way of thinking, correct? On the other side of the Sea of Data, just as before, the adventurers arrived on another world through their apocalyptic phenomenon, and among them, someone was prepared to leave everything to fate. My fate is in your hands, Lantern. Yes, your fate is in my hands. Now, crouch over there and bow your head. What? As the girl came to her senses, she realized that an important visitor was missing in the journey due to Shen's intervention. Lantern is not with us? Does that mean the act we just repelled was in vain? But how is that possible? Based on the previous times the Anchor Box was activated, it seems more like a launcher that projects the user into another space rather than smoothly accessible gateway. Therefore, the interval between two activations signifies a gap in space-time within the Sea of Quanta, enough to leave Lantern behind. I mean the Sea of Data, as you guys call it. Wait, does that mean Shen is all by herself over there with only those security robots for support? Will she be in danger? Speaking of which, I have meticulously designed funeral arrangements that have been set in a long time. Stop. You've been so quiet all the time, the first thing you talk about is funeral arrangements? That's okay. I'm rather curious myself what my own funeral would be like. Shen, you alright? No need to worry at all. I even had the leisure to try and get some information from Miss Lantern. Though, it yielded no fruitful. So, instead of worrying about me, you better focus on finding vantage points. She's also entered the Anchor Apocalypse and may show up at your current location soon. Vantage points. I see. Looks like the clever Coralize already grasped my plan. Explaining here will be a waste of time. Let's leave everything over there for, to Coraline's command for now. Coralize. Indeed, time is running out. Let's set out before Lantern arrives. We must reach the library before she does. On the way to the library, Kral explains the plan. Let's run! Whee! Boing.
でもセラが協力してくれなかったらその時はどうすればいい？それは親切に聞かないと。彼女が残してくれた時間じゃここまでしか考えられなかったから。え？確かに方法はあるよ。でもまだ内緒。そんな。準備にはあと20分くらい必要だし。そう焦らないで。
I do not care about the enemies.
気をつけなきゃ。みんなついてきて。
Ta-da! Ooh, we're about to level up to 30. Hell yeah! That because I just kind of took some damage. I did it again, didn't I? Ah! Oops-a-daisy. It's weird. When does United people disappear too? Quite as before, but this time the entire room is upside down.
今回は部屋ごとひっくり返ってる。
We're not going to be swallowed inexplicably by Miss Sarah again, are we? It shouldn't come to that, but first, we'll need to locate Sarah and have a necessary discussion with her. Indeed. I hope everything goes well. I do love it when you can get areas that have this kind of... So I will say, I absolutely adore any kind of architecture that can be turned upside down. I absolutely adore things like the stone temple in Majora's Mask for this exact reason. You know what I mean? Boop. Hit him up with that. Why are we back to using... I guess now we've gotten to a point in the story where we have to use trial characters for this. Just to ensure that you can still actually do as much as possible. Which is rather unfortunate if that is the case. Because these are all like trial dungeons. Sarah! It can't be. She's not here? That's odd. While others wandered around, Sarah never left the library since Lanquit and Oxia split into two separate worlds. She never bothered to use her own body, even when she wanted to go find someone. No wonder Lantern hasn't shown up yet. She must be aware of what's happened here. Coralie, didn't you notice? Not chasing after us is highly unusual behavior for Lantern. But if Sarah isn't here in the first place, then suddenly everything makes sense. From Lantern's perspective, if we chose to defend this spot, she could easily take us out at any moment. No need for a relentless pursuit. In any case, maybe we should try our luck over at the corridor? Yeah, that looks like our only option. But of course, we won't have the upper hand in combat by simply changing from Sarum to Falima in our plan. The ultimate deciding factor will likely be the trump card Shake Set intends to keep secret. So, what on earth is that? It's rather complicated to explain, but don't worry, you'll find out when the time comes. Alright then, since Shen's so confident about it, let's not waste any more time and head to the corridor now. We should stay vigilant on the way. The thing is, Falima did say next time you get there, it's not going to be so easy to get into. Didn't she? Bye! Bye, enemies! Have a great time! Oh, the elevator's still here, apparently. Oh boy, here we go again. She trapped it. An ambush? Looks like someone's one step ahead of us. Given her background, she's definitely professional for this. Is this in your schnitzel world, would she be skilled enough to be a Valkyrie? I can't say, but you talk about style alone. Maybe someone who used to fight schnitzel. Why bring this all of a sudden? Perception, can you sense exactly where she's ambushed? Can we avoid her? In theory it's possible, but I wouldn't recommend any reckless actions. You wouldn't have similar doubts if you had the ability to sense the shadow powers. But I'm afraid I can't say for sure whether this leads to a blessing or a curse. No matter what it seems, there's nowhere to retreat to. In the darkest beyond of your sight are numerous threads of indiscernible material, most likely set up by Lantern, and sourced from the Shadow Snare, a tool used by the Lantern organization. Huh? This time it feels more like she's trying to stop us. Maybe we're in the right place. But what could happen if we stumble upon those threads? It'd be highly unlikely to yield any positive results. There are very slim chances that Miss Lantern might be interested in inviting you all to play jump rope together. I highly doubt that'd be something Lantern's into. Are we really going to determine our next move based on her principles? Since she respects her as territory, then this item should not be something that would lead to mutual destruction, right? Instead of waiting for her to show up, why don't we probe the situation first and see if we can make a bold move? How is this not different from not having a plan? I don't mean for you to go, it's just a reconnaissance. I can handle it alone. It's not a bad idea, and I have planned a burial. Let's not bring that up! Fortune smiles down on me. Fortune smiles down on me. But honestly, our perception, would you consider sponsoring us for something like teleportation? The cost is too high, I'm afraid. I must decline. Oh dear, what should we do now? What's the matter, Aunt Perception? The threads have disappeared. Oh, luck seems to be on our side. No, it's not. Indeed, that suggests Lantern herself is manipulating everything nearby. Oh my god, this is actually kind of hype though. This is actually legitimately kind of hype. Sorry, my phone going off, but apparently not. Oh, why can't we have some more like spy games like this? This is intense. And I like it. I want more games like this. Like James Bond having something like this. Could it be all the shoes just happen to be missing at the moment? It's hard to say. Your mental state is too normal to understand the behavioral logic of shoes. I actually don't think they're that difficult to understand. Anyway, the promised 20 minutes are up. Despite nearly falling as he opponent's trap, we also just gained the upper hand for a counterattack at the moment. I suppose you need perception to release Duo from its restraints at the right moment, don't you? That's right. Sharp-minded as ever, Coralie. Duo, now you mention it. Just notice, no need to search anymore. It was intentionally left behind when we returned from Oxia. It's like the key to the mysterious trump card. Let's cut to the chase. If we keep talking in circles, even Miss Lantern will start feeling neglected and demand attention. The logic is simple. No matter how tough the opponent may seem, they can't truly eradicate their innate weaknesses. Much like when she awakened, the footsteps of the unconventional Shu, known as Lantern, could be described as gentle and relaxed. And just like the reason she became a Shu, her unending footfall was enough to unsettle everyone. She would softly hum a tune, only on certain occasions, signaling her current intent to those nearby. The only pity was, although she believed she had complete control over their judgment, In this trap she had set, nobody was willing to be her audience. The phrase "in dire straits" aptly captured the situation of Song and the outsiders at this moment. 3. She believed no one in this escapable trap could find a way out. 2. However, she did overlook one thing. Okay, I'll do the countdown for you. It was undeniably an inescapable trap, and so the girls were still trapped within. But who could say one couldn't set another trap within a trap? I might actually have to pull Lantern because of that. That headpiece. The hair going like that. So maybe skip on Falima and pull for her in spot of our Gunner. This change, which didn't elude the host's notice, was unrelated to the disputes with Lantern, as they were elsewhere at the time. I don't recall ever giving filth the privilege of attending my banquet. With a sigh, the girl in the host seat lifted her hand towards the gathering of shadows. The change was supposed to stop right there. Yet, unexpectedly, those fragile, smoky shadows were still writhing in place. Oh? She quickly attributed some kind of side effect of her long slumber, and decided to end her wait, driving away those impudent intruders. That's why I'm grabbing them, just in case. Steadily, she walked through the corridor until the mad banquet had covered all the shadow. This should do. Gently tapping her toe, she expected the shadow would disappear in a gust of wind she'd created. However, aside from the bristle sound of her heels on the floor, nothing happened. So, the change didn't place in the banquet hall, but on me. As soon as she realized, she cast aside her... I'm gonna sneeze, give me a second. Aristocratic pride, and began to sense the source of her power, trying to find out the reason why it couldn't be wielded at will. The shadows coiled in the corner, seemingly aware of the situation. They expanded several times over in just a few seconds, while Falima was in silent thought. Well, since these filth are so eager, I'll have my servants clean up here first. But who should I call upon to deal with it? Ah, we have some more gameplay of playing as the fish. Fish. Fish games. It's a greedy crystalline too. He's greedy at the banquet. Oh my god, look behind me. He wants to get me. Poor little guy. Poor little guy. Not even the slightest opportunity. Oh, let him out. Let him free, Falima. Let him out. He's a good boy. His name is Gerald, and he's a good boy. As the cleaning finished, Falima identified the cause of the change. Some external force was suppressing her connection with the servants. To gather her usual strength, she had to allocate a portion of her power, specifically to oppose this force. More strangely still, the suppression showed no sign of weakening, but grew rather stronger with each passing moment. treading over the vanishing remnants of shadow. She left her maze-like mansion. At this moment, a huge spherical shadow hung high in the sky, like a vile and hollow eye, looking down upon the streets and alleys of Lan, as well as the Shoe of Pleasure, who also gazed upon it. Intuitively, Felima felt it was a direct connection to her abnormal power control. It was perhaps even a manifestation of this change. And the most likely suspect, apart from the earlier guest, is probably you. As if unintentionally, she controlled what remained of the astral ring bearing the name of Ecliptic. To this noble, it was a sun that fell from the sky. It was incomparable to regular astral rings, but ultimately only symbolizing a catastrophe. Be it reshaping the authority or subverting the world, she actually doesn't care about these powers inscribed in the 12 hours. Baji, no matter how elaborately disguised, a fake remains a fake. Yes, but it doesn't matter. Even since the day you accepted this. You, I, everyone. Haven't we all known it deep down? No, you. It is awake. It doesn't matter. This is a common sentiment that people always subconsciously feel. She already tried her best. We've read this already. What are you talking about? Of course I won't stop here. Ooh, lantern gameplay! New tricks, or are they back again? I knew it. The 10 Faces of Misery are coming again. After such a long while. Amber Street, Scudder. Yes, a long while indeed. A century ago. The widespread panic that inadvertently involved too many people finally coming to an end. However, every single person involved, at the least at the very moment, couldn't have foreseen something. Sakurai, you're not really cut out for this job, are you? Be serious and use codenames during operations. I've said it countless times. What's the current situation? It's hard to describe. About the great panic happening in this neighborhood, things are more complicated than you think. And you're clearly ignoring my suggestion earlier to get away from here. Given the situation, I want to ask you something before we set out. Why did you join Lantern? Good pay? At least I won't be out of work, except for dying in action. Oh, come on. Even for the unavoidable damages during missions, getting reimbursed always feels like a slow, drawn-out process. Besides, there's no way for you to pay off the debts you've piled up. Even if you work for 2 more lifetimes for Lantern. Well, it shouldn't be too much of a concern. As long as Lantern exists, the debts can't hang over my head forever. And before that, you would just be scraped by, borrowing here and there, barely making ends meet. That's quite the opposite of having good pay. But at least we're undeniably fighting as evil, aren't we? No matter how you look at it, the 10 Faces of Misery don't carry any sense of positive value. I'm doing the right thing, and that's all I need. You're bearing the lead, just as usual. I'll give it to you straight. You want to change the world, right? Within the Lantern, both you and I are ordinary, easily replaceable. That's human nature, nothing to complain about. But oddly enough, compared to real ordinary folks, you possess a bit of talent. Oh, really? I'm not praising you, actually. I think that's where the problem lies. I always felt having some talent, but not enough, is more like tormenting than having no talent at all. It leaves you discontent with your mediocrity, thinking that even if this tiny bit of talent can only make a slight difference, just by handling everything to the best of your ability, you can make a small but meaningful change to the world by your own hands. Scudder, are you trying to use this as an opportunity to bare my soul? We may not be regular partners, but this isn't our first time meeting on a mission. Do you really think I'm that naive? Because deep down, you and I are the same kind. Just walking with our heads down, without ever looking up at the sky. You. Let's not jump to conclusions. Even if I am as you think, what exactly do I need to change? That's exactly where you and I differ. I have specific enemies. Having understood the nature of Lantern, I know I don't have the power to completely change it. But I'll still do my best within the limits of the rules. That's why I've come here. To deceive those who would have died here. Turning them into traders for the organization of facilitating their escape. What did you say? Never mind. Continuing like this will only make you more puzzled. It's been a while before the battle results are revealed. Let me take you for a walk in the meantime. Well, I know it's impossible to convince you to leave. I still want to give it a try. Is that Lantern from 100 years ago? She seems quite spirited. So our plan here is going rather smoothly, huh? Yes. The timing is perfect. Given the other Shus are nowhere to be found now, the only option is to use her own path. Though it's mere speculation, her power literally originates from the same source as the other Shus, albeit with difference in how it's shown. Which means she must also be a subject to some kind of rule like Latos. I see. Only by figuring that out can we avoid being passive when confronting her, right? Yes. But given her personality, if we want to find out what destruction truly means, we probably have to look directly into her past. I'm really curious how Shen managed to persuade Duo. I'm thinking, if sacrifice means a genuine willingness to die, could destruction be something like constantly attacking others? That is, to maintain the power of the Shu, she has to constantly create enemies for herself. Otherwise, why should she keep chasing us relentlessly and without any reason? The possibility you just mentioned seems reasonable in terms of foolishness, but foolish in terms of rationality. Speaking of which, they did mention Amber Street Great Panic just now, didn't they? If I'm not mistaken, you were there too. Do you know anything about that incident, Song? Me? That happened over 100 years ago, and my memory isn't that great. Oh, right, what about Lantern? Not only your organization from 100 years ago, but the Lantern we confronted today. She must have entered here too, right? Yeah. Maybe she's scouring the area to find us. Then we better move quickly to catch up. It wouldn't be good if we got separated. To see. Let's hope we have better luck this time to end up like before, getting caught inside of some strange danger inside this box. From Lantern's perspective. These lanterns. Sure why they died? Oh.
むしろ彼らの命は何かに使えると考える者たちがいるからだ。単刀直入に言おう。今日ここに来た彼らの最も大事な目的は罹患の10歳の者じゃない。明かりの名のもとに一人の凡人を取り囲み始末することだ。
Song?
ちなみに俺たちが出した人では
彼女はまだ生きてる。
Man, Song has just been everywhere apparently in this story. She's the one tying it all together. Yeah, let's talk about her further. Although I'm not sure who she is, the aura of Shus still linger on her. I mean, she's not going to die. We don't have to stop and lend her a hand. In fact, you're even less suited for this job than I am, aren't you? Witness these broken lanterns is no different from seeing the corpses of our comrades. It's only natural to feel fear. But as members of the Lantern, we shouldn't show fear. No need for you to remind me. What do you mean when you mentioned earlier about besieging an ordinary person? Simply put, tonight on Amber Street, someone was preparing to completely subdue the 10 Fists of Misery with their extraordinary talents. It's said that his actions would transform shadows into tools for humanity, just like electricity and fire. The idea sounds extremely far-fetched, but Lantern believes she could do it. So today, they launched a surprise attack on him, aiming to seize all his achievements for themselves. The organization opposing shadows decided to take control of the shadows? Don't play dumb. You've known it all along. All of Lantern's research originated from the shadows. Ooh. At the same time, an organization's reputation often depends on its adversary. Perhaps the very day of its inception, Lantern could no longer separate itself from calamities like the 10 Faces of Misery. She suddenly realized the purpose of today's mission. Not for eradicating calamities, nor seizing complete control of the shadows. In order we received was to exterminate that person. In other words, to aid in the tyranny, allowing shadows to continue existing in the form of calamities. Don't you understand? Fear. Its original and most fundamental purpose is for domination. After all, being feared is much safer than being loved. We hear about hate born from love, but we rarely witness courage born from fear. That's why I wanted to show you this place. To see what kind of price we've paid to ensure that a certain calamity doesn't simply disappear. Okay, let's stop here. The place ahead is not somewhere I have courage to enter. But about today's mission, no one knows if Lantern will succeed, but chances of everything going smoothly. I believe you're very familiar with all our research. Our opponent today, no matter how smart, is just a mere mortal. And yet everyone deals... And yet to deal with this one person. The order we received was for everyone to be deployed. Can you just imagine how peculiar the goals of the mission must be? I don't want to be dragged into anything, so I haven't told anyone the truth before. I came up with all sorts of excuses, hoping to make them retreat in the face of difficulty, so they wouldn't die in vain because of the tragic truth. But for you, I know I wouldn't have the chance to stop you if I didn't tell you the truth. Why is that? Because you're a patient. A peculiar patient. Haven't you noticed yourself some habits you have when carrying out tasks? Unnecessary radical decisions, meaningless relentless pursuit, an impatient core beneath the facade of decisiveness. It's quite common. Working in a unique place like the Lantern, these are necessary qualities. I must do something. Yes. That's exactly why so many people are dying here and now. That's exactly why, just for right effect, I want to try and save you out of envy. Envy? Me? Yes. I envy your peculiarity, your flaws. I've mentioned having specific enemies, be it the 10 Faces of Misery or Lantern itself. In fact, when I learned about today's mission, I felt like I had to do something too. But I soon realized that the enemies I had chosen were impossible to defeat. As you can see, I've given up now. But you're different. When you feel the urge to fight, you don't know exactly what you're fighting against. You only know that by using your limited talents and putting in a little more effort, things might shift towards a better outcome. So, you can't stop yourself until you also become one of those broken lanterns. You're working on an endless road. It's as if you're treating the entire world as your opponent, declaring war on its existence indiscriminately. But no one can truly know if I'm right or wrong until the future described becomes a reality, don't you agree? Or is it because you think we're insignificant compared to those who control lanterns, so you changed your mind? You no longer believe in every little step matters, and think that real change must be achieved in a single move. Unfortunately. Yes. For someone who can't make a difference themselves, relying on others to create miracles is more practical. I've said too much. The outcome is likely to be revealed soon. No matter what it turns out to be, it's risky for me to stay here any longer. So, what's your opinion now? I need to do something. As expected. Well, good luck. Oh. As a colleague, I thought you would whisk me away to save my life. Like one of those cheesy dramas. First of all, I can't beat you in a fight. Secondly, I don't want to be the one to kill you. I have to do something, even if it's without purpose from beginning to end. Truly, it's your way of life. From this angle, allowing you to seek your own demise might be considered respectable, respecting your personality. So, farewell. How strange. Can't you tell me one more thing before you leave? Who are you exactly? Let's be honest. You've probably seen the real Scudder, which explains your perfect imitation. It's fair to say your imitation was so close that even, you know, the Bay or Soul competition we just had, a similar one not too long ago. Scudder once had his mind connected, thus exposing all his genuine feelings and thoughts. So, everything we discussed, including the purpose series of mission, how would he known it all? He had no reason to repeat it. Rather, from the very beginning, I was trying to extract a certain value from you. No? You knew the truth, but came here anyway. As I said, I must do something. Well, just like my other failures, once again, a slight oversight in my meticulous plan. Then... While our meeting here may not be confidential, like them, are you also here to kill me? Master? Shh. This must be the crucial moment. Don't interrupt them. Don't be startled. What you're witnessing now aren't counterfeits I created earlier. Otherwise, I would have at least presented myself more appropriately. Those lanterns, you... Indeed, I am the mere mortal you have in mind. Unfortunately, Lantern no longer exists. Regardless of the intentions, this place is destined for nothing failure. Be it theirs or my own. If you want an answer, shift your gaze towards the scattered lanterns. I am, after all, a member of the Lantern. I wouldn't mind being one of them. I thought you were here to stop all this. As you said, we shouldn't expect to achieve everything in a single move, because it's impossible to accomplish such a feat as a simple human. If you can disguise yourself as Scudder, then you can also fabricate the illusion of the organization being completely wiped out. And even if I might truly have completely subdued the 10 Faces of Misery. So, did you manage to do it? No. I failed, and it was a humiliating defeat. Unlike those who stand at the zenith, and once manipulated history, driven by certain vanity, I often wonder, would everything be different if there had existed a deity who never made mistakes? Do you want to become a god? No. I'm not so conceited just to think that. I was just thinking about creating a god. Of course, I failed, but despite being relatively insignificant compared to what I'd seen before, the accomplishment of making lanterns deploy all its manpower is not empty talk. Will the shadows no longer pose a threat? To avoid being left for no use, the organization came here, only to end up being buried alongside their adversaries. Not exactly. Rather, I've inadvertently paved the way for an impending apocalypse in this world. And my only failure is the insignificant solace gained after enduring such a failure. I have bestowed upon you a gift when you're not aware of it. Of course, here and now, you're not the only one who has received it. 7 individuals are involved. Over time, their exceptional abilities gained from the shadows will be further enhanced by this gift. The path they take will lead them to become beings resembling gods and among mortals. It will also enable them to serve as a last resort of survival, akin to Lifeline when the apocalypse I created arrives. I should have said we rather than they. You're thinking too much. I'm no different from those you've just killed. I'm afraid it's not so. Just like a criminal, eager for sacrifice. Like the union you personally witnessed. With the world as its cage, you and I are both entwined in this plot. From at least my point of view, we've met before. It's because of the flaws of yours that I mentioned earlier, or perhaps the clumsiness I haven't brought up yet. Therefore, you must realize the reason we're having this talk isn't because of your abilities. For example, while you are stronger in combat than your companion named Skada, you are far inferior when it comes to dealing with shadows. You're sticking your nose way too much into my business. Indeed, after all, I customized that gift for you without your consent. With that gift, you are able to harness the 10 Faces of Misery as your own power without constraints. By the way, that suits you best. I don't feel any changes. That's quite normal. I must admit, I hadn't been fully able to comprehend the origin of this gift, so I could only create it as counterfeits. But that's not a big issue, because even if I mentioned the name Astral Ring, you'd probably only grow more perplexed, wouldn't you? Astral Ring? Upon hearing this term, the core members of the Lantern organization didn't show any special reaction. It was evident she didn't understand its meaning. But for the few outsiders currently concealed in the shadows, this certainly was enough to provoke astonishment. According to what he said, he made these Astral Rings imitations by himself. The world is full of wonders. Sounds like you guys haven't heard about this place. More than just hearing about it. Never mind. It's rather hard to explain it properly in a short time. From the looks of it, could this imitation be the reins to control the shadows? It's too soon to jump to conclusions. Perhaps as she demonstrates her ability as Shus, then we can... What is it? To think of it. In our previous encounters, she was managed to catch up with us, didn't she? That's right, so... Right now, she's definitely in the same space as us, isn't she? So, is it possible she hasn't found us or another version of herself yet? Surely you don't mean to say... Maybe we've been seeing fragmented data of her, similar to the characters we once played. And the one standing over there is the real Lantern. It's just a speculation, but perhaps she had set up a perfect trap for the moment she entered here. We're short on time. We need to construct our plans now. Otherwise, the version of herself in the illusion will become as powerful as the one on the outside. Huh?
So それなら少し申し訳ない。君の選んだ手段のせいか、この贈り物は何の違いも与えられず、むしろ永遠に君の負担となる。
逆に願ったり叶ったりだ。今さら気づくとは。
Do you think it's too late to realize it now? As I expected, you were looking for my weak point. But all you found was this. I'm not sure if you heard what Song's master concluded earlier, but I don't mind repeating it. For me at the time, the so-called Astral Ring would only send wave upon wave calamities born from the shadows to my side. There's no advantage to it. Therefore, getting the Astral Ring in this illusion is meaningless to you. Exactly. My power, though related to it, is only effective in honing myself. So, the unconventional issue known as destruction. Before this, you only fought us with your flesh and tools? You did acquire the ability of Shus, but its sole purpose is to constantly provide you with foes, allowing you to do something anytime, anywhere? By transforming into a walking disaster, you've become a guardian who spends every waking minute eliminating threats. So this is the secret to your strength, Lantern. Because you've dedicated 100 years to honing your battle skills. Well, come to think of it, I haven't told you the full story. One's reputation often depends on their adversaries. But alas, I can't take advantage of the situation right now. Haven't you realized yet? If you had followed your plan, You would have been completely engulfed by these shadows by now. What a pity that it's merely a memory, unable to recreate the entire scene in that moment. To me, your strength is no different from these constant threats. I like how she just constantly stances up. Coraline just stances up, ready to go. If you still intend to challenge me, then know this. A person's weakness can sometimes be their strength. You need to do something. We're going normal again. Oh, I thought you meet as her strength bar on the side there. Guns with guns! Fight guns with more guns! Okay. She's only one health bar though, which is interesting. Right, let's see what else she has on store. Ooh! Okay, please tell me this is like her alt form. Real anime shit right now. Double guns! Whee! I think we're in a better stage here. She's no longer regenning. I do not care, hammer turns! Anchored! Hey, I'm behind you. Interesting music for her. Okay, she's back to regenning health. Oh, she just swapped me out just directly to only Sandina.
なかったでしょ。シートなら私にだってできるよ。
Huh? Sonatina, what are you doing? How are you got it turned on? Like the ring being turned on constantly. How? Hey! Eat my wires! Your wires are great, but here's mine. Whack! Nobody dared to say whether that counted as the final blow just now. Apart from the heavy breathing signaling utter exhaustion, there was no other sound that could be heard at the moment. Everyone knew that time for waiting rather than rash action, even though the outcome was obvious. Is this considered a lose-lose situation? I can't believe we should have fought her to such an extent. Now, can we have a good talk? Let's do something. That's easy enough to understand. But the anomaly in Lanky has truly nothing to do with us. In fact, one could argue that Oxia itself is a victim. Could it simply be because we also possess the astral ring? The red hair girl didn't get the answer. Idiot. Save your energy for recovery. It's not over yet. Indeed. Although the surface appeared that Corona had forced Lantern into a position where she could hardly continue to fight. But as long as neither side defeats, the battle couldn't exactly be called over either. And the key that could determine the outcome wasn't in their hands. Fascinating. Since my strength also originates from the fear gathering, there's a chance I could also end up powerless due to excessive depletion. Besides, none of you have showed even a hint of fear for me to regain my strength. I'm very impressed. That sounds more like a sarcastic remark. Wait, what about Song? Is she supposed to be... For real? After a kick, glancing around, she realized why the usually chatty girl was now silent. After the final beam of light spread across the entire battlefield, she had conveniently passed out. Phew. Now the real outcome was revealed. After a short-lived tie, the first to recover was... Well, it's about time to end this. I'm fucking dead. What did you do to them? As expected, even though you took it upon yourself to end this, you showed no mercy. I started it my way, and I should end it my way. Oh my god, why are they all linked to me? Why are our shadows summoning him? Although, I'm judging by my own standards, given my tendency to inadvertently make grave mistakes. I always hoped others would follow in the same path. You are Song's master. I hope she didn't say my name solely because she's stirring up trouble. I apologize for the impoliteness for concealing myself, but I've just awoken from a long slumber and found myself a bit disheveled. My current appearance isn't quite presentable, so I hope for your understanding. I figured out the cause of the anomaly in Lanky, and it was a misunderstanding for all of you to endure this. I hope I didn't arrive here too late. They are not being wronged. True. But it was an unintentional mistake. Besides, eliminating them wouldn't help matters. Then why freeze us here? It's because of what I'm about to do next. While it's necessary, it may seem cruel to all of you. Cruel? Never mind.
まあいい
A song would suggest it's probably best to avoid speaking
私の
ill
弟子
omens.
安心してほ
Rest
しい
assured, everyone, as long as the seven shoes still
7 術
exist,
がまだ存
the
在
havoc
してい
caused by
る
the Ten Fists of Misery will only
王
be
家であられ
temporary.
る100年前の
We shall
敵
soon begin to reenact the events of a century ago. Everything that has happened here will also return to its former state.
でも
But then,
あなたたちの
Ajita,
一
she's
員
dead.
になり
リトストだって
Litos
そう
too.
だろう
でも
But
師匠さん
how can...
それと
I still can't see how this relates to the freezing us.
それもお
Well,
そらく
I'm afraid nothing to consider appropriate
私
based
の
on my
勝手な判断
standards.
かも何しろ
After all, I
私は
never say welcome to you all
歓迎でき
because
る
I only came here to say bid farewell.
それこそ
Which is a cruel thing I
今
mentioned
話し
earlier.
た渦中にいる
That you're all involved. The
事
matters
実
like
上
you
老
actually have
朽のこと
nothing
は
to
諸
do
君
with you.
と100年前の
Events from 100 years ago probably shouldn't be exposed to the public eye. Therefore, I urge you all to leave this place of turmoil.
この争う何しろ
After all, you know nothing of
自
the
身
power
の
you
持つ力に
possess.
ついて
待って
We
別
bid
れを
farewell
告
to
げ
the
る
song.
彼女のことは
No
心
need to
配
worry
ない
about her. In any case, she will join us in eliminating calamities from
彼
your
女は
homeland.
私たちとそれに
And
私から見る
from what I
限り
see, that was your
それ
objective
こ
all
そ
along,
が諸
wasn't
君
it?
の7術の
Awakening the
力
power
を
of the
一
shoes
つ
one
ず
by
つ
one to
目
save
覚めさせ
Anoxia.
欺瞞の
Sheer deception. No matter what
諸君が
impression you
彼
have
女の
of
こ
her,
とをどう思う
the truth is,
と
she happens
彼
to be
女
the
は
most
この計
crucial
画
part
で
of this plan.
最もリトスとも
Neither Litos nor Aija are
替えの
indestructible.
利かない存在ではない
Only Song is.
無論
And
今
considering
ま
the
での諸
arrangements
君
you
の
all
計
made
画か
earlier,
ら考えると
it's not as troublesome as one
想
might
像する
imagine.
ほど
どういう意
What do
味
you mean?
あ
Just a
あ賭け
treasure
のことだ
box.
よ
I'm not sure where you
諸
got it
君が
from,
どこで
but
手に
it's
入
still
れ
a
たのか
relic of
わから
mine.
ないがそして
As a shield,
術である
I still
私
cling to
は
my old habits.
諸君が判断
As
したよ
you've
うに
all assumed. For instance, you may think you've just engaged in a fierce battle in a banquet hall,
実際ここ
but in
にある
reality,
全て
everything at this moment is
箱
still
の
within
中
the
のものに
box.
過ぎない
The real banquet hall remains
本
untouched.
当のバンケット
Your
には
contact in Oxia is also waiting outside the box for your return.
巨岩の小細工
These
は
pretty tricks of falsehood are not worth mentioning.
だから
So, as for today's extraordinary adventure,
夢だと思って
you might as well consider it a grand dream. Wow.
王か
We're back to Oxia, but...
でも
Huh?
待ってくれ
Wait.
少女く
Song.
核
Perception?
無事に中か
I
ら
can
出
see
て
you've
こ
all
られ
made
た
out
ね
safely, but what about Miss
あ
Lantern?
の
Explained everything that just happened.
へえ
Wow, the Shua falsehood
さ
lives
す
up
が
to
は
his
巨岩の
reputation.
術脳裏で人
No
の
wonder
縄張
Lantern
りに
showed
いた
no
の
mercy all this time on
今
someone
回の
else's
争いは
territory.
違うで
Wait,
しょ
stop praising your
どうして
opponent!
他人の士気を
Someone's
上げ
been
るよ
caught.
老朽にも
I
老朽
believe
なりの理由
Monk
があ
must
る
have
んで
its
し
own
ょ
reasons.
それに
Apart from Song,
みんなの言う少女
Duo
と
was
いう
also
のは
involved and stayed behind according
ド
to
ニクル
Baiji.
だっただ
The
王
shadow
家で起
calamities
きた
looming
影
over
の
Oxia
災
have
い
not
は
been subsided.
今もまだ解
If
決
Song's
していない
managed to get his word, then we might need some
もし
time
少
for the
女の師匠
execution
の
and
約束を守
transmission.
ってくれる
100年前に
Just like the way they
彼
recreated
らが
this
世界
world
を
a
分
century
離した
ago.
時のようにそういえば
So, everything that just happened, apart from the location,
場所を
did
除い
indeed
て
happen, right?
全て
もちろん
Of course.
じゃなきゃ
Otherwise,
記
what do
憶
you
と
think the
時
box
間
of
の
memories
箱を
and
ど
time
ういうもの
operates
だと
on?
思ってたの
一種の閉
A
鎖
locked
的
up
な
sea of
デ
data
ータの海の
space?
区
じゃ
What
あ
about Bubble
世界の
Universe?
泡は
もっと
A much larger
より大
locked up
規模
sea
な
of data
閉
space?
鎖
See?
ちゃん
You
と
worked
自
out
分
your
で
answer
答
by
えを
yourself.
見つけでも
However,
量的
quantitative
変化が
changes will lead
質
to
的変
quantitative
化を引
change.
き起こすよう
Within
に
a sufficient small locked
小
space,
さな閉鎖
the
空間の
boundaries
中
between
で
illusion and reality will gradually
幻
blur.
と現実の境
And
界
if
も
there
徐
existed
々に曖
so-called
昧にな
time
る
crystals in the world, she spoke with elegance as she considered the boundary between reality and illusions in the sea of data, perhaps something. Let's not
話
dwell
は
on
や
that.
めようか
We don't have the time to sit down and focus on examining the earlier
少し
bizarre
前にあなた
adventures
た
in
ち
the
が
sea
デ
of
ータの
data.
海で経験した
No, we
あ
don't.
の不思議でも
But considering that you may want to return to Wonka to find out where Song and
み
the
んな
others
は
are,
もう一度セナちゃん
Sanadina,
あなたの
are
体
you okay?
本当にだ
What possibly could be wrong with me? See, I'm feeling great and I eat
見
well.
ての通り体は絶好調だし何を食べても美味しいし
You know, girl, if you're having an emotional state, just let us know. Something's up with her.
なる
Is
ほ
that so?
ど
And I believe with that, we are finished. So a massive thank you to everyone that's been here today on the video. I will see you guys soon on the next video. We'll be calling it here. So until then, guys, Krona of the Arcadia Network. Logging off.